So we'll very briefly touch on the pastime of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, inspiring his community members to start a new festival. Did you ever hear of that? "5,000 years ago, when the Supreme Lord Krishna appeared on this planet, as a young boy, he inspired his father, who was the king of the community of cowherds, to worship Govardhan hill. So there are some interesting facts about Shri Krishna's activities, and one of the fun fact is that he introduced for the very first time in this universe during our present Kalpa, this Chatur Yuga. He introduced the very first time a festival known as Govardhan Puja. So this will be a question asked of you by Yamaraj someday. Important questions that can be asked. Who instituted Govardhan Puja? So the answer is Shri Krishna Bhagavan. Was Govardhan hill worshipped before Lord Krishna instituted this worship? No. So it's fun to be present in the human species after Shri Krishna's appearance, isn't it? For all of the members of human society who are present on this planet before the appearance of Krishna, they did not know what Govardhan Puja was, because there was no Govardhan Puja being done. Isn't it? So not only are we very fortunate to be practicing Krishna consciousness in Kali Yuga, but we also get to have a lot of prasad because on this festival day. And it's official. Because what happened was that during their worship of Govardhan hill, they had to offer a lot of cooked food items to the Supreme Lord, or to Govardhan hill. And to everyone's amazement, Sri Govardhan hill took on a form similar to Sri Krishna, but the size was gigantic, still as huge. Everyone could see that Giriraj Govardhan was not different from Krishna. And then Krishna revealed an interesting fact. He said that, or through this particular dealing, he revealed that as a 7-year-old boy, it is easy to offer him just one plate of prasad, and is happy and satisfied with it. But when the 7-year-old boy expands as Giriraj Govardhan, then the whole township, the entire township, they offered everything that was there in the present, whatever present rations they had, and whatever they had for the future. They had offered everything, and still Giriraj was wanting more. So, all of you esteemed guests here, you're very intelligent people. For those of you who know the story, Giriraj asked for more, so they got more. Somehow they made arrangements for more. And like, those homes, $1 million homes with swimming pools. So how big is a swimming pool? Maybe 25 yards, 50 yards, and it's about 6 feet deep. So imagine maybe a dozen swimming pools of dal like that, a dozen swimming pools of rice like that. Just imagine. Because nobody, now here in Pittsburgh, it would be difficult to understand what a kunda is. And when we go to Vrindavan, except for a few kundas, the other kundas are all filled in. So swimming pools, so deep. Or, yeah. A second time, they made similar preparations. And Giriraj goes, give me more. Because we wouldn't understand. It rhymes actually. Give me more ani or. Ani or is Braj Bhasha. And most of the local languages in India, which comes from Sanskrit, somehow or the other has certain roots in Sanskrit. Ani, bring. Or, more. So, ani or. Give me more, bring more, serve me more. So they got more. Slurp, that was a sound that was made. Krishna adapts to the surroundings outside of India too. So slurp, everything was just disappeared because Giriraj Govardhan accepted it, right? Then he goes, give me more. So one intelligent Brahmana, one devotee, being inspired. Some say after the third attempt, because when the neighboring villagers also came, they came with their resources. Story, people from America also contributed. GoFundMe page, instant, right? Huge cargo planes were arranged and transported. So everyone took part. Everyone was having fun. So it happened a few times. He goes, give me more, they make more preparations. Finally, when everything was done with, they did not have any more resources left. Nothing in the granary, nothing in the godowns. Not a single grain of, not a single iota of any grains were left. So someone says he wants more. What should we do? Okay, now we offer a tulasi leaf. So intelligent people, what would they say? Why couldn't they do that? Exactly. I mean, if he's going to be satisfied with tulasi leaf, then just offer it very first time. And you save so much. He is happy. We have our needs. Krishna says, buddhir matam asmi. By the time we figure out what is the conclusion of all our intellectual calculations, Krishna has already figured out all the permutations, combinations of, through all permutations and combinations, what answers could come to you. He's already figured it out. Because it's super chat GPT or super AI. Every single thought that we've ever had as the human species or any species, every single thought that is there in the cloud. Krishna's cloud is the ether. He has accessed and processed all of it. Today, when we have ChatGPT, we have AI, we know how it works. It's helpful to explain certain things like that. So all those thoughts Krishna has access to, and he can process it within nanoseconds and come up with all the permutations and combinations and what could be the possible priority list in your life or my life. He comes up with that. And thus he very easily can understand what could be our mode of action. He can understand that. That is how the Paramatma functions. So Giriraj and Krishna. So Krishna has a 6-year-old boy, 7-year-old boy. Seems to be easy to satisfy according to the resources that we have. But then when he reveals himself as Giriraj, he also makes us realize not to be too comfortable with the way of worship that we are in. Not to become too comfortable with that. Because whenever we become comfortable with any activity that we are performing, the mode of ignorance hits us. The mode of goodness makes us feel that we are doing well, because the knowledge that is there of our actions makes us feel that we are doing well. And when the mode of ignorance hits us, which basically means becoming so comfortable that one starts being a little lax. One is not missing out on the activities that one is, the routine that one has. There's no single item that one misses out on. It is just that our intellectual, our thoughtful and spiritual muscles stop developing further. We just get used to the routine that we feel comfortable with, and which is unfortunate. Why? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a very, very powerful inspiration in the Krishna consciousness movement, because in the Krishna consciousness movement, we believe and we accept based on scriptural revelations and previous Acharya statements that he is none other than Krishna. He says spiritual life is constant enhancement and enrichment. Constant. I was talking to one friend of mine and we were discussing the enrichment program for children. So Krishna consciousness always, every moment, even when one is liberated, inspires every single individual soul to explore the innate abilities that would lead us into the enrichment program. And the enrichment program is constantly dynamic. Basically, it means, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own words, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipatam Purna Amrita Swadhanam. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's words, what it means is there's constant increase in the pleasure felt, because every action that one performs gives us more opportunity to explore further activities of feeling pleasure or happiness. So being awake in Krishna consciousness basically means that you're constantly working. That is the nature of the spirit soul, to be alive. So Giriraj and Krishna, through this particular pastime or incident, Krishna shows that if we are having faith that we are happy only by serving Krishna, then he is going to demand more. Because we have enrolled ourselves into this program of wanting to serve Krishna. It was our choice. We made the choice. So he'll demand more. Or he can ask for more. Only when we have exhausted all of our resources, and finally, the only resource that we can depend upon is not of our doing. That is a single leaf of tulasi. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. So Acharyas have commented that patra means tulasi patra. Because tulasi symbolically represents all that a living entity who wants to serve Krishna can express. That is what tulasi she symbolizes. When we make an offering of tulasi unto Krishna, that is the symbolic, that is one way to understand the offering of tulasi to Krishna. All right? So that is the first. Now, did Krishna, after Govardhan Puja, did he lift up the Govardhan hill too? Or did he do that before the Govardhan Puja? He's like, hey, wait, let me just show you what I can do with this hill. So, what happened? Did he lift up the hill? The hill? Did he lift up Girirajji? Yes or no?
Rains have come first.
Okay. Sequentially. All right. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into the entire pastime. I'll just pick a few aspects of this particular incident that has been mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Is that all right? Sorry. So that's a disclaimer from me. So did Krishna lift the hill after Govardhan Puja?
Yeah.
He did. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Correct. Wonderful. Do you know of anyone else lifting hills?
Hanuman.
Jai Bajrangbali. Hanumanji. Hanumanji also lifted a hill. Right? And he flew with it. Isn't it? Do you know anyone else who tried to lift up a hill? And also, there are references that XYZ did do that. Who else did do that?
Ravan.
Dashanana. Ravan. He also did that. What hill did he lift up? Kailash. So there have been other personalities also lifting up hills. So Krishna also lifted up a hill. Oh, he did it as a little boy. Okay. Maybe he was a genius as a child. So we don't worship Krishna, or we don't glorify Krishna just because he lifted up the hill. I mean, yes, we know of a few personalities who've done that even before Krishna did it. This is from Treta Yuga, right? Dashanana Ravan did it in Treta Yuga, lifting Kailash. And Hanumanji also did it in Treta Yuga. Now, who else lifted Govardhan and brought it to Vrindavan? There you go. Isn't it? So it is not just the fact that he did it that we admire him like all fans of Krishna. We definitely worship him, we definitely admire him for doing that act. And he did it very nonchalantly, he did it very, very easily, which is a miracle. Not many people, although we say there have been a few others, they are just those gifted few. Hanumanji brought the Sanjivini Parvat. What is it called? Gandhamadan, one of the peaks of Gandhamadan mountain. He brought it. Because there was a need. Lakshman was in distress, or Lord Chandra was in distress. Krishna also lifts the hill because the residents of Vrindavan are in distress. So if great personalities like the devotee of Lord Shiva, Dashanana Ravan, the greatest devotee of Lord, one of the very, very prominent devotees of Lord Ramachandra, Shri Hanumanji, they can do it. Krishna, even as a child, is a supreme personality of Godhead. It is definitely possible for him to do it too. So the fact that as a small child he can do that, as a small child he revealed hundreds of universes within his mouth to his mother. What is more miraculous? Can we compare? We cannot. But as humans we have the tendency. Which is more miraculous? He revealing universes within his mouth to his mother, or lifting up Govardhan hill. So he's been doing, he can. He can as a small child, and he can include millions and millions of universes within his mouth too. Why? Because in the material world, our actions depend upon the bodily structure and the intellectual capabilities that we have. That shows how powerful we are. Hence, if we are just accepting the fact of Krishna being a child, a human-like child, then it seems amazing that as a child he lifts up Govardhan hill. On the other hand, if we know philosophy and we understand that Krishna's existence is not made up of material elements, his existence is eternity of, or his eternal consciousness and bliss. That is what his existence is. Eternal consciousness and bliss. So for him, lifting up Govardhan hill is like an adult lifting up a slice of bread. Yes, a toddler, not a toddler, but that's a baby that has just learned to crawl. Can that baby lift up a slice of bread? No, an adult can do that. So if an adult lifts up a slice of bread, what's so amazing about it? So if Krishna lifts up Govardhan Hill, even as a little child, he's a super soul. He just departs from this body and the body falls down. So he's lifting up so many bodies. He is maintaining the bodies of, in the past, he was maintaining the huge bodies of dinosaurs. In today's times, he's maintaining these huge bodies of elephants. He's carrying those bodies around. Because as soon as he departs, obviously he departs along with his friend, the soul. The body simply falls down. So if it lifts up Govardhan Hill, it is definitely a very, very powerful act. However, that is not the only reason why we glorify him. The reason for glorifying Krishna is that he patented. I'm not sure whether he actually filed for a patent or not, but he patented a hill to be used as an umbrella. That is a simple act he did. Is that all right? We are having rains in Vrindavan. Typically, what do people use? Ordinarily, what do they use? To save themselves from being wet, to try to protect themselves from getting wet. What do people do? If they have an umbrella, they use an umbrella or anything else that can act as an umbrella. Correct? So Krishna, he simply used Govardhan Hill as an umbrella, and all the residents of Vrindavan, they took shelter under Govardhan Hill. Now the only person that was left out, couldn't come under the hill, was Indradev. Because he wasn't very happy. For 7 days and 7 nights, he's like, I cannot let this happen. I cannot let him patent this. I will try and destroy his umbrella. But that is not expected of Indradev. But then people, many a times, they underperform. They commit activities or do perform actions that is least expected. Sometimes it happens. And specifically, if such things are revealed by those whom we hold in very high esteem, it gets noticed. So Indradev's actions were noticed. And for 7 days and 7 nights, he was trying to render the entire town of Vrindavan is trying to give misery to the entire town of Vrindavan. He wanted to destroy the entire town of Vrindavan, which is not his real nature. Krishna understood this is not his real nature. So somehow or the other, Krishna had already figured out that given certain circumstances, this is where Indradev is going to land up. He figured that out. Now, if he had gone to Indradev and said, hey, I'm Bhagavan, I'm Krishna, and I've figured out that this is the path that you are on, Indradev would have said, my dear Lord, whatever you say is true. I must be like that. But have I offended you in any way that you're thinking about me that I'm an offender? Because he wouldn't have believed it. But how do you say no to that which Krishna reveals? So when certain aspects of our life are revealed to us by those whom we hold in great esteem, we may accept it. We may accept what they are revealing. However, if it is very difficult for us to understand and relate to what they are revealing, then we are confused. And the only way certain things can save us from confusion is when we go through the experience. So it is not that Krishna planned all of this. He just took the cues given by Indradev and used it to reveal certain aspects of Indradev that were very recent. Most probably, we can understand that they were very recent contaminations within his consciousness. Very recent. So Krishna revealed to Indradev. It took him 7 days and 7 nights to actually come to terms with how he had, in a very subtle way, accepted a path that was unnatural to his, completely unnatural to his existence. He accepted that. He knew it, but it took him 7 days and 7 nights. Many other people only accept it after they are killed by the Supreme Lord. Since this was so contrary to Indradev's nature, after a long period of 7 days and 7 nights, he said, "Oh, I made a huge blunder. I have to repent." But in 7 days and 7 nights, a lot of misery had been sent to the land of Vrindavan. The Bhagavatam describes that raindrops as thick as pillars were falling onto the land of Vrindavan. Can you imagine when raindrops like hail fall on our car, on our rooftops, what happens? These are huge pillars of hail, rain falling on the land of Vrindavan. Krishna is just with the umbrella. And Giriraji is very happy being an umbrella. The residents. Now Krishna had not soundproofed the entire. There was no soundproofing underneath Govardhan hill. And Krishna had lifted it up. So they could hear the rains fall. I mean, just imagine huge pillars of like drops falling. What kind of sound it must be creating? And that is all around Govardhan. It's so miserable. "24 hours of constant noise pollution like that can make someone go crazy. This is 7 days and 7 nights. Serious noise pollution. And there are animals under the mountain too. There are calves, fawns, so many other animals and creatures under Govardhan Hill. So So with Krishna around and with Indradev being completely sold out to Krishna, still such situations arise in this world. Can we just accept Krishna's labeling of this world as being Dukhalem Ashashatam? Isn't it? He says, look, just because I'm here doesn't mean that things are going to change for you. Otherwise, you'll like, Krishna, why are you going back to Vaikuntha? Just stay here, let us do our thing. And let Kuntha become Vaikuntha. So when Krishna is not visibly present, where can we seek shelter? Now, I like people to pull out their smartphones. So I'd like you to do that. And we are going to look at a verse where Krishna, his existence or his connection to us, is also using the example of an umbrella. All right? And Govardhan lila directly, that reference is not there in any of the verses. But we are taking this instance from and relating it to our own experiences of how we use an umbrella during rains. Okay? So let us search for SB 11.19.9. Everyone has it? Yes? It describes an umbrella. There is a reference to an umbrella in this verse. And this is in connection with Krishna. Okay? With the Supreme Lord. 11.19.9. 11th canto, 19th chapter, verse number 9. Okay? So, now we'll recite this verse. First, I will do it. I will recite one line and then you will chant in chorus after me. Is that okay? Tapatrayena bhihatasya ghore santapyamanasya bhavadvanisha pashyami nanyat charanam tavangri So here in this verse, Dvandva Atapatrad. The last line, it has Dvandvat Patrad Amritabhivarshat. So we have to break it up. In Sanskrit, if you see, it's a complete word. This entire line is a complete word. Dvandvat, actually it is Tavangri Dvandvat Patrad Amritabhivarshat. So we'll just, it is a combination of many words. Sandhi. Okay? So now we are going to take just Dvandvat Patrat and break it up. Sandhi Vichhed. Dvandva Apatrat. Apatrat means umbrella. Okay? Tavangri. Angri means feet. Alright? Tava means yours. Dvandva is two. So 2 feet. Your 2 feet are like an umbrella. So Krishna's two lotus feet, the Supreme Lord's two lotus feet are like an umbrella. What is this umbrella for? What does this umbrella do? Now this umbrella is very interesting. It drenches you. Umbrellas are supposed to keep you dry. But this umbrella actually brings forth rains. Interesting concept. What kind of rains? Amrita, nectar. Amrita abhivarshat. Amrita abhivarshat. Rains are coming from each single pore of that umbrella from all directions. One is being drenched. Like from the top, the bottom, the front side, the back side, every single atom of our body, which is under the shelter of this umbrella, is being drenched by the rain of nectar. Now, what is nectar? Nectar is that which makes you feel alive. Nectar is that which makes you feel alive, lively, happy. Why do we need it? Why is there an umbrella? Because santapyamanasya bhavadhvanish. We are fried, totally burnt out. Santapyamanasya. Totally burnt out. By what? Tapatraya. The three kinds of miseries. The miseries are born of the body and mind. The miseries that other living entities inflict on us. And the miseries that are born of just natural existence around us. Is there any other dimension of existence that we have not considered? We've considered our internal existence, we've considered the external existence, and we've considered our relationship with others around us. Nothing else is left out. So these are the three kinds of miseries that one receives. Abhitasya ghore. The word abhitasya, and therefore the word abhivarsha. The word abhitasya has been used. Abhitasya ghore. Ghore means intense. It's like when you have a bad day at office, things are not really working out at home, and then you receive a bank statement of how you have not paid your dues. And even if it is an extra interest charge of $10, you're like, why today? Isn't it? Ghore. You want to go somewhere that is very important, that is when your tire bursts right outside your garage. And your AAA subscription has expired. How intense is that? That is ghore. That moment of intensity that one feels in one's life. All right? Abhipatasya. Abhihatasya, sorry. Here it is. Abhihatasya. Abhihatasya means from all directions. All directions, one is facing this intense pressure of tapatraya. Therefore, we need an umbrella that can drench us from all directions. What is that? Krishna's lotus feet. So what does this mean? What is the connection between Krishna lifting up Govardhan hill and here in the 11th canto, Krishna's lotus feet being described as an umbrella that not just saves you from all the misery that's there, but drenches you with nectar. What is the connection? The connection is that in Govardhan lila, when Krishna lifted up that Govardhan hill, for 7 days and 7 nights, the miseries persisted. But what made it not just tolerable but pleasurable? Why? Because they were unaware of the miseries that existed. What made that possible? Krishna. So, if out of certain situations in our life we feel that as soon as I take shelter of Krishna, Krishna should be, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I'm right here, you take good rest, don't worry, I'll watch over you. Well, this is the material world, and in the material world, based on the Govardhan pastime, we know that miseries can persist at least for 7 days and 7 nights, if not more, despite having taken shelter of an umbrella that Krishna himself has created. So the nature of the world is not going to change. So the sooner we accept that, the easier it gets to be focused on that which is relevant for us in our life. And what is that? Getting drenched under the umbrella of the holy names. Correct? Now, there are two situations. There's a situation where, let's say, you have a function at your home. The birthday celebration for your child. The cake gets messed up. Right when the function for the cake, that event, so that which is related with the cake, where you light up candles on the cake. Right then, the cake gets messed up. What are you going to do about it? There's pandemonium. There can be the blame game. But that is the material world. No one had planned on it. It happens. And someone amongst the crowd suddenly becomes a lifesaver. Mataji, I have a Prabhuji, I have a cake. I was just, you have one? Prabhu, thank you so much. Krishna sent you. This is Krishna's plan. Typically, that is how you respond, isn't it? Have you ever responded to Krishna's plan like that when you're chanting Hare Krishna? Even when you're doing it seriously on Ekadashi, chanting 64 rounds. That moment where we feel so connected to Krishna, ooh, it is just Krishna's grace. That connection, that dependence that we feel unto Krishna, that is Amrita. That is what saves us. That is grace. So Amrita Abhivarshat is a possibility. We can talk about this possibility a lot. It has also to be experienced. And when the experience is there, that is when our faith really becomes visible to us. It is no longer a conception, a mental conception. It is perceived reality. The residents of Vrindavan, They were perceiving that reality. The animals of Vrindavan were perceiving that reality. Giriraj himself, as a devotee of Krishna, was perceiving that reality, being touched by it, being connected to the touch of Krishna by his little finger. And everyone was Amrit Abhivarshat. They were being drenched with the nectar of Krishna's grace. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments? Tomorrow again we'll talk a little more of the umbrella. Okay? Deepadan ceremony. Is it alright if I can do that? A little more about the umbrella? Alright, okay. Yes, question.
Krishna always asks for more.
Is it alright if I interject? I said in this pastime there is Krishna as a little boy who gets satisfied with a plate of prasad. At the same time, Krishna also manifests his Giriraj form. In that form, he reveals that we can never become comfortable with that. That becomes a routine, or that which we have with a lot of endeavor made a routine practice. So it is Giriraj in the form of that Giriraj Govardhan mountain, when he asks for more, is revealing that. Is that okay? So yes.
So in our day-to-day life, what is it? Okay. I don't want to become comfortable. But in my day-to-day sadhana, how should we relate that?
We should not try to fall. Okay, the question is, in day-to-day sadhana, how do I relate to this aspect where I do not fall into a trap of becoming comfortable? So my answer is, we should try to be aware of this dangerous syndrome where we feel that we are always a victim. No. We are Amrita Bindu. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We are always pleasurable. Or we are always blissful, not pleasurable, blissful. Isn't it? That is, we have forgotten that somehow or the other. It's no longer in our remembrance constantly. So, the easiest path, sometimes the path of least resistance, is to try and feel guilty. The path of least resistance is trying to beat ourselves down whenever we feel that that is the best approach to being humble in life or facing reality. It could be helpful. Knowing one's weaknesses was very helpful. However, that is not always a very healthy approach. It can be a secondary approach. The primary approach always has to be what is that verse in the Bhagavatam? I'm not remembering the verse. Its meaning is, it is my birthright to be able to serve Krishna to the best of my ability. That is what I'm meant to do. That is what I'm meant to be. So if I've understood my weakness, I cannot let myself just dwell in my weakness. I have to work on that which is my strength. What is my strength? My strength is my ability to chant Hare Krishna. My strength is my ability to render service. So the more time I spend on how I can render service that makes me happy, that keeps me happy, that seems comfortable, where my happiness increases. Comfort in not static happiness, but being comfortable with the idea of dynamic happiness, constantly increasing happiness, exponentially increasing happiness. Being comfortable with that idea. That is my birthright. So yes, weaknesses are because of what I've tried to become in forgetfulness of Krishna. And there is some lethargy, there are some challenges to overcome it. However, I believe that is what could be helpful, that I believe each one of us could do that. And I believe that being on the path of Krishna, it is my birthright to serve him. Isn't it? So let's serve Krishna. And whenever weaknesses come up, we look at it, we understand this is a weakness, we kind of paint it, put it somewhere. Whenever needed, we look at it, and there is certain places where you have the skull and the cross, danger. So that is all that we do with our weaknesses. Put that danger sign against it. Make a caricature of it, put the danger sign against it. Whenever needed, look at it. Dwelling on it too much sometimes could be very unhealthy, especially as a human. With our human constraints, it is very helpful to spend a lot of time meditating on how we can use our strengths to experience ever increasing pleasure. Is that okay? Yes.
Time for another question.
Do we have time for another question? Yes.
I like the parallel that you made into the umbrella of Govardhan on this. It's really beautiful. I was wondering if you could speak to the rasa parallel between the two also. In Govardhan lila, to my understanding, the prominent rasas are Sakya, Madhurya, and Vatsalya. But to my understanding now, here in this verse, they're talking only about taking shelter of the feet of the Lord, not the face or the beauty of the Lord. But the next and the outcome of that is talking about drenching into the nectar. So I feel like there are various rasas are getting intermingled.
Okay.
Can you speak a little bit more?
Interesting question. A brief answer, because I'm not an expert on rasas. A brief answer from my limited perspective is just for discussion, sake of discussion. The context of both these scenarios are way apart, very different. In Govardhan Leela, these are devotees that know their eternal relationship with Krishna, even consciously or unconsciously. Whereas when we are speaking of taking shelter of lotus feet, this is in relationship to conditioned living entities. So in the conditioned state, Dasya Rasa is the most safe and the most practical. So it applies most probably in the conditioned state. Whereas in the liberated state, when the devotees are performing their interactions and their pastimes with each other, then the various other rasas are manifest within that realm. So it's like prakat, aprakat. Sometimes aprakat lila becomes prakat in this material world. Still, it is not of this material world. Is that helpful? Okay. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.